Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hard Knock Hawks. I'm Anthony, one of your four hosts today, along with Leon, Chris, and Marco. Today, we are going to be talking about our preseason expectations for the four preseason games against the Pacers, Heat, 76ers, and OKC Thunder. We are also going to be talking about who will be in our main 9 man rotation and what we expect from those players. Let's just start off with an open question. Who do you think is going to be in our 9 man rotation? And anyone can answer this question.
It's going to be Trey, Zach, Dyson, Dre, Clint. It's going to be one of those centers, whether that be a Kongwu or Nance, depending on if Kongwu is healthy. Then it's going to be Bogdan Bogdanovic, um, and Kobe Buffkin. I believe that's nine. No, nine's probably Nance. So yeah, those guys.
Gonna count with my fingers here. We'll go Trey and Jalen, the obviously one and two. Then Dyson, Zach, Clint, Nance, Dre, Bogey, and Kobe. I don't know that O will play in the preseason. Sounds like he's not healthy. There's no reason to rush him. You can hold him out for a few games if you need to, get him up to speed. I at least expect him to miss the first preseason game. We'll see. We haven't got any updates really regarding his health, but yeah, that's the nine. That's gonna be pretty standard. I mean, and they're gonna go deeper than that, obviously, in the preseason. Second half of the game, it's probably gonna be a lot of backups, so we'll get to see them empty the bench, maybe some Seth Lundy action. Could be fun.
All right, all right. Onyeka was practicing today, by the way. So maybe that was a good sign. But we're gonna start with the main five. You already know that's Trey, Bogey, Dre, Jalen, Clint. After that, what we got four more spots. We got Dyson, Nance. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out. Oh yeah, Onyeka.
And
And I
Zach,
think
of
that
course.
last spot is up for. I think that last spot is between V or Kobe, just depending how preseason battle goes. I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm generally in agreement with basically everyone here about like 8 of the players for the most part. I agree with everyone except with I think maybe Kobe. I think there's a chance that V may just be in the rotation. So I'm gonna say like Trey, Bogey, Dre, Hunter, Clint, OO, uh, Dyson. That's 6. Dang, this is hard to remember on the back of your head.
I had to use my fingers.
uh, I said OO. I said maybe Nance. Uh, did I say Dyson already? Zach. Yeah, Zach. That's 7.
Damn, I forgot Zach.
I
You
mean,
forgot the
more or
first
less the
overall
same.
pick. Oh my
Just the guy at the end of the nine that really changes, right?
I think we'll do 10 man. Yeah, I might call me crazy, but 10 man rotations might happen sometimes this year.
I mean, yeah, I think that is probably expected because we have just so much depth compared to like other years. So it won't really be that big of a shocker to me if that were to happen. But I think Quinn just has a history of just being kind of tight with his rotations, though. But then again, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a chance that they'll be volatile this year with how much youth is on the roster. You might have a guy who's off and needs to sit, or there could be a matchup that just doesn't fit a player. Maybe someone's really big and Kobe can't play, or someone's a little too strong for B or something. But Quinn can mix and match. If he needs to go short, he can. If he needs to go deeper, he's got a few more pieces. People get in foul trouble. It's been a bit of a bugaboo for Onyeka over the years. If he gets in foul trouble this year, though, you do have Larry Nance who can give you minutes at the five. So maybe both centers can be a bit more aggressive. So yeah, we'll see.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or maybe we could see like players like Keen Wallace playing if the backup point guard play from someone like Kobe or Veet is not up to par. Yeah, he's on a two way, but they're like impress the Hawks enough to get a two way contract. So I could potentially see him playing like backup point guard minutes in the future, maybe. Also someone like who else I was gonna say? Dominic Barlow. I think we mentioned him before on this pod, but I think offensively he has just a lot of potential, even though he's only 6'8" as a center. Like they got him shooting up threes and stuff in practice, so he could be like another really good small ball center that this team could actually use in the future. So,
We got to talk about Moji, man. I think
oh yeah, Mochi.
after his up and down summer league and the injury that he sustained that kind of limited him during his rookie year, I think I'm kind of excited to see what steps he's made, how he's corrected a little bit since summer league. He got to play some real minutes there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what we get from him too. A couple people talked about him, after practices, just briefly, talk about guys who can play above the rim. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in preseason. He should get some pretty good minutes then too, especially in the first, probably those middle games we'll see him the most.
Such a good guess. But I want to latch on to that Moji thing. I've said it. I'm not the biggest Moji believer. Um, I don't mean that in a harsh way, but Moji has the capabilities of being a good basketball player. Yes. Uh, but for somebody who's only been playing professional basketball now for what? It'll be his fifth year,
Yeah, I
like
think it's
playing
5 years.
basketball, like in general. He's playing a lot of catch up, and he had a okay summer league. You get 10 fouls in summer league. He got to those 10 fouls, by the way. Uh, I don't know. Moji is just one of those. If he works out, he works out. But I'm not gonna
He's
hold.
extremely raw. There's
Yeah,
he's
I'm
not
not
gonna.
gonna
I
put
don't
all
think
my.
he factors into. I mean, the fact that they have Nance, I'm pretty sure that lets you know what they expect
He's going
from
right back to
OG
the
this
G.
year. Um, yeah,
Yeah, he's one
but
of
I mean,
those.
Mo's an
Works out. It
exciting
works out.
player, right? He's a great athlete. He's got a lot of length. And he fits the mold of what they're trying to build. But he's just probably another year at least away. When we got him, I figured he was a little 2 or 3. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So maybe like I said, it's one of those project pieces. If he works out, he works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're not really losing much with second round picks. So
Like I appreciate that they just took the risk, but like you said, like it's gonna take time for him to develop, and I don't know at this point where he's gonna be on this team, especially if defensively he's not gonna be good enough right now to just play on the court. So
Well, if I had to guess, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's a multi-year project.
yeah,
I don't think they went into it thinking he would be playing within 2 years, realistically. Didn't they give him a 4-year deal, I think, when they got him? I don't think they really
yeah, they
expected him
did.
to be
Yeah,
much
it's a
of a
4-year deal.
producer until year 4. I mean, he might be getting some minutes in year 3, but year 1 was just them putting weight on him. He's going to be working on a lot of technique this year. Hopefully, he takes a step in the G League. And if he's ready for the NBA, that's awesome. But I do not think that that's in their math. It shouldn't be if it is, because he's just that far away. And they have enough young players that they need to get minutes for. You're trying to figure out what you have in Onyeka. You need Jalen to have the ball more this year. Kobe is likely at the end of his G League stint and should be getting a shot at the backup point guard. Dyson's out there. There's just so much youth that it's honestly best for Mo to get a bunch of minutes in the G.
It's good because he's not.
I was just saying in preseason. I was just saying I wanted to see what he had in preseason.
yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Hey man, like I said, preseason.
Well, Marco hates Mo, so And
All right,
Yeah.
buddy. This hate word is very strong, my brothers. I won't say hate. I just don't see
that's why he used it.
the league. The league is advancing at an accelerated rate to where it's too much talent and not enough playing time for all of these people. So it's kind. I don't know. You look, Moji. His development plan is too far off from how fast the NBA is actually developing. Like we've seen players that you wouldn't even expect to like really break out for real break out. So it's kind of I didn't yeah. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
I feel like that might be going a little far. I mean, I think he can become an NBA player. He's just still really raw. He's got to play some basketball. Um,
yeah, like I said, we'll see.
catch up.
Preseason,
He's got the physical tools.
preseason expectations and all that.
Yeah, I mean, and Onyeka's being a little bit behind, I guess, physically should get Mo a few minutes in the games that he might not have. Uh, but we'll see. I mean, I doubt they're going to play Clint too much, so they might need Mo, honestly, just for the second half of these games. I doubt they're going to have Larry Nance play into the third and fourth quarters. So yeah, I mean, Mo probably is going to play, yeah, in the preseason, but during the season,
I mean, because
college park.
until Okongwu's hurt, he's our third center.
Well, Larry
Am I
Nance is
wrong?
the third
I mean,
center.
until Okongwu's healthy, he's our third center technically, or
I mean,
Dom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Barlow has that spot just because he's played actual NBA
Dom
minutes.
likely ahead of Mo. Yeah, Dom is more likely to get some minutes this year than Mo.
Has actual NBA minutes. So not saying that might play a role, but in the grand scheme of it, he's already used to the.
Yeah, both still a ways away, still raw, and they really have to improve defensively, which is likely why they'll be down in the G League. And it honestly helps them to be together, but they'll be getting minutes, trying to get that defensive progression that we saw from Beat last year, turn him into an NBA player. So there's a chance they can take that leap, right? They're really young. They're at that age where you can still teach them a lot, and they're still growing physically. So
Mm-hmm.
could be interesting down the line. Those scratch offs, right?
But let's go ahead and just preview some of these preseason games, starting with the Pacers game. What do
Felt
you,
bad.
what do you guys expect from this first preseason game generally? Because I think the Pacers matchup is going to be kind of interesting, considering that we lost 4 times in a row against them, and every single time the Pacers set a record against us, I think.
Lord Jesus, we
So
are fucking.
Yeah.
I think it's.
when I was
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
when I was looking at their roster, it did look like it was a good matchup for us in terms of a solid test in the preseason. It's exactly the team that you want to go up against. When you want to get some offensive possessions in. So you know they're going to go up and down the floor, so you're going to get a chance to score. But you get to test that new defense. You get to test your length, right? Dyson gets to match up against Tyrese Halliburton. It should be a good preview of what you're going to see from Dyson most of the season, right? He's going to be on whoever the focal point is for the other team, try to mess up their rhythm. And then we'll see Trey and Zach maybe start, though I don't know that they're going to start the guys with the knee issues. We'll see if they play in preseason. They might try to ease them in. They might just give them a few minutes. It's tough to know with Quinn Snyder, but I would like to see Zach and Trey and Dyson. We saw some lineups last year starting preseason that we never saw during the regular season. So hopefully Quinn takes advantage of a chance to experiment and test some long-term lineups with a lot of the young guys. You can see that new trio who were hanging out at Trey's weekend.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think all eyes are on Zach, because I do find it weird that he is the least talked about first round pick. So hopefully he lives up to the expectation that we are holding him, because I do feel like his coverage is kind of weird. It's not like he's the worst first round pick in a good minute. But yeah. But anyways, uh, all the young guys, I think you need to get. We already know what our usual crew is going to do. We know what Trey is going to do. We know what Bogey's going to do. We know what Clint, Dre, yeah, like I said, we know what they're going to do. Jalen, you want to see everything that Jalen has worked on. Does because he raised some questions. Can he make his jumper consistent? Can he half court offense? Can he truly be like the real second option? I think that's like the biggest thing outside of Zach. So that's all I'm really looking for is Zach, Jalen, Dyson play.
Yeah, with your first point about Zach, I do hope that he does like throughout the year prove a lot of people wrong. Like I think there's a big expectation that he's going to just be like the worst first overall pick of all time since at least like Anthony Bennett basically, even though I don't really think that will happen, honestly. I think he is probably going to be fine generally, and I think considering like his work ethic and stuff, like I think he is probably gonna like prove a lot of people wrong. Hopefully, I don't know about like Jalen proving that he's gonna be like the second option and stuff in preseason because it is just preseason. Like this is the first time that a lot of these guys are just playing professional basketball again in like months. So I don't think I'm not gonna expect like a bunch of stuff coming out more or less. I'm just hoping that I just want to see like the team be able to like gel and just find like something for the most part. If I'm explaining it right, just find like some kind of formula that they can be able to expand on in the future. Because honestly, I think the biggest concern like during early in the season with all the players we have is can they just find something to work with?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
want to see them kind of attempt to establish a little bit of an identity. It's preseason, so you're only going to get so much of that, but you want to see like the makings of that. I want to see what Dyson looks like defending a supposedly elite offensive player. Um, I want to see what Dyson looks like when he gets if we see Pascal Siakam, he's old, but if he gets switched on to Pascal Siakam, what does that look like? I want to see what Jalen looks like running a unit because like Chris said, there's a good chance we don't see Bogey or Clint. Like it wouldn't shock me if I didn't see Bogey or Clint tomorrow specifically in a game where the Pacers are going to be up and down. We want to go up and down. I don't know if that's the game I would want to. I don't know if that's where I would want to introduce Bogey back to
Yeah,
professional basketball personally, but you might see him. But the point is that you'll be able to see Jalen run a second unit or a unit of guys that can he elevate a group of like middling players even if Bogey's not out there. You know what I mean? Because if it's not Bogey out there, let's say it's him, Dre, Kobe, whoever, whoever, you know what I mean? If he can make that lineup look like something, at least on the offensive end in the half court, then we're cooking with something. But the most important thing is I like to see them attempt to establish an identity, not just tomorrow, but across these first these four preseason games that they can carry into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit of the preseason is that it does take the pressure off, and then hopefully we see them come in and just run their sets. Right? There's no uh, reason for anyone to pull the ripcord and go solo and try to go crazy ISO unless that's the style they're trying to play, right? You want to see the style they're trying to play. Like when the Clippers come out, you see James Harden trying his new ISO stuff on the 3-point line. But I don't know that that's necessarily what you're going to see from the Hawks. I think you're going to see their new passing, quick, up and down the floor style, and hopefully they can just get into their stuff and run it, and the ball moves and the players move and people score. I do really want to see Jalen run a unit, like Leon was saying. I think the opportunity to sit some of those vets and put these young guys in positions where they have to step up and lead is valuable, and I think taking advantage of that is really smart. I would probably rest Clint, though you might want to get him out there and run him for the first quarter, but maybe Clint gets first and then Nance. I do want to see some Don Barlow. I want to see Moji get their shots up. I want to see Jalen running some pick and roll, maybe with a small or with a medium sized player and getting downhill. Yeah, I would love to see Onyeka. I really have no idea where he is physically. I know I said that before, but it would be nice to see all the young guys get out there and really try to run what Quinn's been drilling into them for the past few days. I know Trey said they played a lot during camp this year, which apparently they didn't do the year before, and I want to see what fruit bears from that, right? Because if these guys are getting their chemistry going early, that's something we've seen the Hawks have issues with for years. I think there was even going back to when Gallo was here early in the season, they're saying, yeah, we don't know what our roles are, right? And that's not good for an NBA team. And if guys are confused about their roles, they're not going to play fast and they're not going to play smart. And I don't know that it's possible for them too, right? You can't overcome bad coaching. And I'm not necessarily saying it's bad coaching that led to that, but there was a poor communication. And if the communication's better, guys are understanding the plan and getting it installed early, and then maybe we can really see some fireworks in the game. The Pacers have a lot of continuity. They're going to come back and do what they do again. So the Hawks know what they're getting into, right? They should know their plan defensively and offensively. And hopefully we see the guys show off what they've been working on. Jalen and his transition threes. I want to see Dyson attacking the rim. I want to see Zach coming off some pin downs or pulling up. He was working on a drill where he's taking a three coming around a little screen. So I really want to see these guys get into their bags and have some fun and play fast and free.
Those facts. I do want to add in. I think the highlight, because I actually went and looked at our first 4 preseason games. The highlight of it all is that the Hawks are going to be playing teams that all bring a different style of pace to the game. Last year, Pacers had I think they were first in pace. Didn't they set a NBA record for like the highest pace? They did something like that.
Yeah, it was pace and offense.
Yeah, they broke some record. They were like the highest and all that. Like they get out and run, so it's good that we with a new defensive scheme that we're going to implement this year. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like how can we match up with this? Can we outrun certain teams? Can we keep up with certain teams? I had the first games pulled up, and next thing you know, Google reset. But anyways, I think the Pacers is like the best first matchup. Maybe we won't. It's kind of weird to handle preseason. I don't think you can just tell Bogey, "Hey, we don't want you. We want to." Bogey's going to want to play. Bogey's weird like that. Clint, I'll say you just rest Clint. There's no use of playing him. We know what we're going to get from Clint. Blah blah blah. But Bogey, you're not going to be like, "Hey, sit down." He's going to at least want to play one. I don't expect the Hawks to do a. All right, let me rephrase it. I don't expect Quinn to show you the actual starting lineup this whole preseason. You probably won't ever see the actual starting lineup until opening night. He might give a glimpse, but nah, I don't believe he's going to give you what you're looking for. He might do one dress rehearsal, but other than that, that's probably it. I don't expect him to tell you who the starting 5 is day one or any of these games actually. Thinking. Most of the young guys should play. I think you want everybody with Trey as much as possible just to see how it works. How can Trey and Dyson, coexist? Is Dyson really a zero on offense right now? Which I don't believe, but that's been a topic. Can Ricochet start off rip? Who looks good, where, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So long as we get some answers to those, I feel like that's our preseason, we'll go.
Yeah, I basically agree with you, Marco. You mentioned something interesting with the matchups. Like when you look at all four games, like I think each of the games brings something different. Like with the Pacers, it's basically testing the Hawks' offensive abilities. Um, the next two games afterwards, it's the Heat and 76ers. And I feel like that game's probably going to be more of a test of whether or not they are going to be able to like actually defend at a competent level and also like be able to like handle a slower pace because there were at times to where they weren't able to do that during these like past few years, and the 76ers and the Heat had like one of the best defenses in the entire league. Obviously that was because of Embiid and for the 76ers, and the Heat that was Spo and Bam and all those other players that they had. And then you have the Thunder, which is just basically a mix of everything, like offense and defense. So I think it's just going to be really interesting to just see how the Hawks just handle all these things in the upcoming preseason games.
Yeah, I think especially against the Heat and the Sixers, I'll be going to the Sixers game, is I want to see how we match up with the physicality of those teams when the game does slow
Yeah.
down as it will in those games because we've been really small, right? And the Heat game is in Miami, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Um so I think it'll be really interesting. I think we'll see a lot of what Zach's made of um in Miami. And yeah, it is a preseason game, but they're a Spo coach team. It's Bam, it's Jimmy if they're playing. But they're when you go to Miami, they test your metal. They want to see how tough you are. And he's the number one pick, so people are gonna come at him regardless. So it'll
Mm.
be interesting to see how he handles that adversity specifically and the team, of course.
Yeah, I
Hey,
was actually going to mention the test physicality, but I was thinking. I mean, it's preseason, so we'll see how much the guys are really bumping. But the Heat do play a certain way, and I'm not sure that they'll get a day off. But the Sixers are big, and that is going to be a test for sure. How you match up with Embiid, that's important. These are playoff teams. If the Hawks plan to be there, then it's nice to at least see how you match up early, at least size wise. I'm not sure who you put Dyson on, whether it's Maxi or PG.
gotta
Maybe
be
he
Maxi.
plays against both at some point. Depending on who they play, right? They might sit
Yeah, I'd
PG
probably
in
put
his old
Dyson on
age,
Maxi
Man, I
Yeah.
put
but
and
Dyson
let
on. I'm letting Zach guard every big forward off rip. You're going to need that physicality. You're going to need that experience. I'm sending you at the best forward off rip
yeah,
every
Paul
time.
George is going to mix him, and I'll be there.
Yeah, I need you. You're going to get. It's going to happen. So you're going to need that experience. Then you go to the film room. Yeah, I could have did this better. I'm
well,
gonna send him at everybody.
I was actually going to say like they might take a game to sit Trey if possible because they do have Kobe, and they might sit a vet each night, right? Maybe that's how you convince Bogey to take the night off. Because they have so many young guys they need to get minutes at. And I know it would be nice, and they probably would love to see Kobe start a game in preseason just because, one, these don't count, so it's not going to hurt you. And maybe you do just give him a quick trial by fire and see if he can go lead the offense for a game and get a quick peek at the backup point guard minutes and see what he can do. Right, because during
Like,
the regular season, he's probably going to be in the corner. Bogey's going to have the ball in his hands way more. Jalen's going to have the ball. But in preseason, you can let Kobe do his thing and find his rhythm.
let him and V duke it out. Because like I said, I feel like the last spot is a toss up between them. But hey, you got nothing but four. You got 4 games to prove your worth. So
Yeah. As much
so
as a toss, I mean, we know politics exists, and I love Veet, but he is on a minimum deal, so Kobe's going to get the first crack at it unless he's just falling on his face, and we know he's a good basketball player, so I do think defensively he should be ready. It's going to be offense if his shot is falling, confidence, and I think for them, for well, at least for me, right, the way I look at it, if Kobe's offense isn't I might send him to the G just so that he can get more shots up and find his spots and his rhythm better than trying to find it in limited minutes, right? But if he's going already, then yeah, I can just put him in his real role now because it's not easy coming off the bench and getting going, especially when you're a young player going in their second year and the ball's not in your hands. So I'll at least put it in his hand for a game and see what happens.
Um,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
there will be a game where Trey doesn't play, and that will be the game where I want to see what, Kobe really has.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's against Miami. They probably have, I don't know that they have a good guard defender to really hassle him. The team as a whole, I don't know that I want him going up against Bam. So I don't know if that's Philly or OKC. I think one of those two most likely, though. But we'll see. Like last preseason game, you might see Trey sit. But
Yeah, I'm looking at the Heat roster right now. They don't really have. I think the Heat actually took a step back. They don't really have that guard defender anymore. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Terry Rozier.
Respect Josh
Yeah,
Christopher.
yeah,
I
but let
mean,
him go cook Tyler Hero and
to be
Scary
honest,
Terry.
I'm letting if I want to see some type of real productivity from Kobe, I'm letting him play majority of that Heat game.
Yeah.
They play physical. They play it. They're going to come at you. They're going to blitz you. They're going to do all that. So how do you handle that pressure?
Yeah, that's the test. And I mean, the guys trying to make the Heat team are going to be playing their asses off and playing hard. So that's a team with an established culture. So if you want to give Kobe a test, that's a solid one to give him a test to. Because I mean, that Sixers team, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure Maxey would be on him if he's running the offense against them. And that's a team that I would like to see Jalen and Dyson and Zach against that group to figure out the matchups and whatnot. So yeah, Miami feels like a good one, but we'll see. It really depends on when they try to do this rest schedule, or if they even want to rest anybody. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this last preseason game against the Thunder. I think it could be interesting, not just because obviously, like I said before, the Thunder are probably going to be a really good team, but it's also because there's potentially we could just see the Hawks just rest a bunch of players and just play a bunch of their 12th, 13th, 14th men like on this roster. What do you guys think of that last preseason game?
I don't think we're gonna. I want Quinn to do a dress rehearsal game, but I don't even think we did one last year. But that's probably because we already knew what the starting five
Yeah.
was going to be. Uh, I hope he uses that last game as a dress rehearsal game because I think you'll finally figure out. You'll have 3 games before then who plays better with who. How does everything goes, how everything flows. So hopefully I hope that last game is like half dress rehearsal. Then after that, then the second half of the game, you're letting all the young guys just play. You're letting Dyson play as much as you can. You're letting Zach play as much as you can. You're letting Barlow, Mo, Kobe, yada yada. You're letting them play as much as they can, so you know what to expect going into the season. Somewhat from them, you already know what you're getting from your top guys. I think that last game is like the final decision game. But I don't think the Thunder are going to play their actual starters that game either. I'm pretty sure they're only going to play them for like 2 games, and the rest of that is kind of meh. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it really depends on how they plan on ramping the guys up. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure what their schedule is just yet since they haven't played the first game. If they plan on like letting them go the first quarter or so, game one, and then ramping that up, game two and three. You think they would be fine by game three, and then maybe game four they rest them. But I don't. This team is so young and they're hungry. I could see them playing everybody the whole time, right? It's just as likely. I'm excited just to finally get to see Zach though in competitive NBA minutes with Trey Young, and yeah, hopefully that last game is a dress rehearsal. I would love to see them at full force, maybe even on Yeka finally be ready by then since he's practicing now, and I would love to see him gets a chance to start in the preseason, stake his claim for the job. There's so many guys that are hungry on this team that I think preseason, like I think they really want to take a chance to like go ball out. So we could see the vets play a lot, man. I don't know. It's tough. It's like 50-50. Quinn probably wants to see all the young guys, but most of the core is young, so it's tough, right? You don't want to sit all these guys that you're developing too, right? Because Kobe needs minutes, but Keaton needs minutes, and Beat needs minutes, and Dyson needs minutes, and Zach needs minutes. Dre, Bogey, O, Clint, Dom. I missed a name. Larry Nance obviously is going to want to get going. So man, it's not easy to get all these guys out there and get your starters ready. So we'll see what Clint goes with, or Quinn goes with. I'm sure someone will ask him what his plan is, and he's going to say a lot without saying anything.
That's his
As
specialty.
usual. Yep.
Do y'all? I do have. I want to interject before I know Leon was about to go, but I do want to ask this question to kind of piggyback off of Ant's main question. Do you think we'll change up the defensive scheme? Do you think we'll keep it? Do you think we'll keep having the big up top? And how we ran it last year, or do you think since we promoted Ryan, do you think we'll change it up a little bit?
Uh,
I'll
oh, go ahead,
I'll
Michael.
start. I think that what do I think or what do I want? I think that we should go multiple defensively because different teams require different no, I think we have two different kinds of bigs, right? And when you have two different kinds of bigs, I think you could play to the strength of those bigs sometimes, right? So I think we should play multiple defensively. I don't think, but then at the same time, you went and got all these long defenders, so maybe you're saying, you know what, forget it. We're just gonna be aggressive as a mug defensively and hedge everything. Hard hedge on the at the level of the screen. And maybe that's what they plan to do because now you have the opportunity to have pretty much everybody but Trey operate as the low man. Like Kobe's 6'4" and probably almost 200 pounds, but t- like his technique as the low man is very good, right? And he'll get his hand in there, he'll do whatever, like he'll put his body on the line.
You got good
And the
timing.
only other player on the roster you probably just really don't want to be the low man is Bogey. Like really don't want. And even then, like we know Bogey's strong for a 6'5", 225 pound shooting guard. So uh yeah, I think they should go multiple because Clint's still a good drop big defensively, but you have the opportunity now to play the defense that Quinn seems to want to play, which is that aggressive hedge at the level of the screen. Um, Let everybody like empower all the other guys to be a low man when the time presents itself. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right on there with the multiple looks. I think when you have Clint and Double O, you're trying to find a way to let them both do what they're great at, right, or what they do best. So bringing in Dyson really allows you to let Clint stay back, right, and you have the length on the perimeter to let Clint stay closer to the rim. You got Jalen who can help if Clint's coming out to contest a shot, but you have Dyson who can get through screens, right? That's like what he's good at is point of attack. So Clint doesn't feel that pressure to come out and pressure, but when you do bring in Double O, right now you can maybe run some more switching stuff. I know Jalen mentioned that they would have some lineups that are switching, right? You might have lineup that doesn't have Trey on the floor, and you can switch everything for a little bit and just really turn somebody's water off. So I think they have a chance to do a lot of different things. They did multiple things last year, just different times of the year. Beginning of the season, they were trying to get their bigs up to the level of the screen, but by the end of the year, they were playing drops. So you know that the group knows how to do both now. So if Quinn needs to go with Plan A, he can do that. But when they need to go with Plan B, they can do that. And you have Dyson who can give you the privilege of doing what you want, right? So, yeah, I think they will do a bit of both.
All right. Um, for the last question of this space, not space, podcast. Um, What do you think will be the identity of this team this year?
Fast and physical, like Dan Quinn now. No, but I think the fast is right on, right? That's one thing that a lot of the guys were talking about is that it's going to be a fast scheme. Quinn's buzzword in his press conference was passing. I think it's a group that's going to move the ball and try to play as fast as possible. Whoever gets the open shot gets it, and you just reset and keep going. I think Bogey, now that he's kind of openly taking on a leadership role, I think you'll see more guys sacrificing the way he spoke about last year. I think it's a group that is going to move the ball and play really fast. I think that's going to be their identity. And then defensively, get better.
What do you say, Marco?
To be honest, man, I'm just go with what Chris said because I still don't know what Hawks DNA is, so I can't really answer this one. So yeah, I'm gonna just go with what Chris said. Yeah.
All right, Leon, what do you say?
I think that the question itself is a part of that mystery and mystique that has been cultivated because of the fact that we've shuffled the deck. And this is what we kind of talked about in the spaces before, towards the end of the season. They got to shuffle the deck. Like, they got to shake it up. They got to do something. And, they moved on from DeJounte, drafted Zach #1. So you went and got some size on the wing. You went and got a backup combo big and Nance, right? So we don't know. And I think that's a good thing because as long as it's not whatever last year was, I can't say that I don't care what the identity of this team is, but I would like for them to establish one. I think that the answer for me is Pachow. I am speed. I'm Lightning McQueen. I expect this team to be Lightning McQueen this year. That's what they should be trying to do. They got a 6'1" point guard who's extremely fast. You know, Jay Bron Johnson, Zachary Richey.
Yeah.
They got all these young guys. Like what I want and it's funny because we've talked about how Clint at times is a good matchup for Jokic because he beats him down the floor. I want to run Clint off the floor. I need Clint to put his hand up halfway through the first before
Coach,
he's supposed to come out and say, "I need to come out. I'm tired." That's how I know we're moving fast enough. And I want that to happen consistently.
Yeah.
I need that.
Jalen Johnson is a deer. Quote from Larry Nance. So
you kind of want to replicate what the Pacers did last season in terms of pace and offense, but you don't want to get too lost in the sauce. Because
I think
so
the
Pacers
is,
with a real star point guard.
Oh, right. No, yeah. And because we have that real star point guard and we know that he can operate when the game does slow down, we're not dead in the water. When the game does slow down, we have offense still, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to say we don't. We need to use pace as a tool, but the Pacers relied on it last season. When they didn't have that pace, like when teams slowed the game down on them, they lost because when they weren't able to rely on that pace, they weren't a good team. But I think with us, we can use that pace as a tool to, accentuate everybody's strengths, but also when the game slows down, we can still play basketball and win games.
Yeah, I'm big on like the cross sport analogies, right? And they say a lot in football, right? Everybody's good between the 20s, right? You can have a real fun offense between the 20s, do whatever you want, but it's in the red zone, right? When things slow down and it gets tight, you got to be able to execute in a phone booth, right? And at the end of quarters, you do have Trae Young, who you can slow things down and run a little pick and roll and do what you got to do after you figured out your reads for the rest of the quarter. But yeah, if you have a system that you can rely on throughout the rest of the game to get you to those moments at the end of quarters where now your guy can make a big play for you if he has to, then yeah, you're cooking. You're cooking.
Very much so. That's the glory of having Rayford Trae Young,
One thing I will say that I'm actually hoping that we finally do see Quinn's system, whatever that system is. If it is a system, I know coach won't say that he has a system, some secret plays, but I want to see them really have something that they can rely on, right? I know some people have talked recently. John Sally was talking about LeBron and how LeBron did what he did without a system, right? Because Kobe and Mike both played in the triangle, and the triangle had things that they knew it was structured. They knew where their teammates were going to be and when they were going to be there, and that hurt the defense. The defense knew that their teammates were going to be doing these things, so they could break it if they needed to. But yeah, they had something they could rely on. LeBron has just been freestyling for 20 years and just playing LeBron ball, right? And Trey is great, but freestyling is tough. And if we can establish a scheme and a set offense, right, where the guys know this is our bread and butter, this is our counter A, this is counter B, this is what we do when they blitz. So if they can get that system going, that's what I would like to see them try to establish in preseason. I want to see them have some sets that we're like, okay, we see them run that a lot, or like this is their go-to, right? Some guys were talking about it a little bit last year. Quinn still hasn't said that he's put anything in, but the fact that they were playing and going up and down the floor this year really lets me think that they might have put something in at this point, and we finally might see the Quinn Snyder system, whatever that is.
I think I know a lot of fans, like him. I know a lot of fans want to defended him a lot. But seeing DeAndre Hunter out of the starting lineup will actually do wonders because DeAndre cannot play at the pace that Trey wanted to play a lot of times. That the team wanted to play as a whole a lot of times. Because even Clint, I don't know about current Clint, but when Clint was, still somewhat decent and that heel wasn't on his last leg, Clint was running. Clint made sure he kept up with whatever however fast Trey wanted to push that ball. Clint was right there behind. He was up there. Trey loves the people that run. We never got that from Dre. I think that's why Dre and DeJounte were, buddy so bad because they both play at a slow pace, and it just meshed well. So having people that can run, having players that can run, people that get out there, go out the way, gets their spot fast enough. I want to see everybody ahead of Trey. That's what I want to see. You claim you can go out there, run, push that pace. I want to see you in front of Trey at all times.
Alrighty. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we end this episode? Episode 3, I guess. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I know this isn't what we talked about, but I don't want to forget it. I think that when the season does start, if the defense is good, but the offense is lagging behind, as long as we're not losing to teams we shouldn't lose to, and we're winning with our defense early on, because in my mind, the offense is going to figure itself out. I would be shocked if the offense didn't figure itself out at some point. But in the early going, if it's the defense, I think the defense is going to give us an opportunity to develop the offense the way we want to, is the best way I can say that. And that starts in the preseason. So we'll find out. I think you won't find out as much as we want to know tomorrow, but I think we'll find out a lot. I think we'll learn a lot. Especially like Jalen's handle, right? Because if you're going to be a number 2 option, or if you're going to make a self-creation lead, the biggest thing for him was always the handle, right? And then the finishing through contact. So we'll see that tomorrow. They got some guys who can match up with him physically, so that'll be interesting. Go Hawks, 47 wins.
I want to put this fair warning out there before we close this thing out. For the people that are down on the team or not as excited as we are or as some people are, we have a lot of new pieces. A couple what ifs. Quinn finally putting in his system, quote unquote, and a couple other things. Let it cook. That's all. Let it cook. We hyped Dyson up to be this top defender, and he has stats and everything to back that up. if Dyson gets 30 dropped on his head by a top 15 player, don't try to toss Dyson aside. It's a top 15 player for a reason. So, let it cook. Let the roster cook. I personally believe we're better than what we were last year. So, let it cook.
I talked last year about the Hawks needing to like pick a lane and decide if they wanted to go for it. Right, they had DeJounte and Trey, but that team wasn't enough to really contend. So I was like, you need to make a win now move, or you need to build around your young guys and really decide that we're going to develop these guys and get them ready. And they finally did pick a lane, and they're playing these young guys. They have a roster full of players who can play a up tempo style. I've wanted them to put Trey in something that resembled the Steve Nash Suns for some time, right? Tall guys that can run, shoot, and defend for him a little bit. And I think they finally have something rounding out that looks a little bit like that. I think Jalen and Zach are both really, really big players that can run. And if Trey can get them the ball in the open court, I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had in Atlanta. I think the players are excited. I think they're rip roaring and ready to go. And I can't wait to see them. I think it's going to be a fun year of growth. There might be some growing pains early, like Leon said, offensively. When you're playing fast, there's going to be turnovers, and guys have to get their timing down. But I think once things do get going, you're going to see something special offensively, especially if Zach can shoot. The stroke looks good. They still have a few insurance policies just in case they need a bit of extra offense and Gary Bird and Bogey. So, yeah, I think this team is going to be fun. It's going to be a really, really fun team to watch.
Yes, sir. Bob.
Yeah, I generally don't expect to see like everything figured out in preseason, but like you said, Leon, I think there are some things that we can maybe just see or figure out like straight away, or not straight away, but maybe like the clues we can get from this team, we can already see in like these upcoming like 4 preseason games. So I just think it's gonna just be interesting to just see what happens. But with that, that's gonna end our third episode of Hard Knock Hawks. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.
Go Hawks.